Oh hey guys, another day, another new location, huh? Well, see, apparently I managed to escape out of my shed from the Beyonce fans from the last video, and now I'm holding out in the shady streets of Detroit, Michigan. So now the only problem I gotta worry about is someone either trying to convince me to become a Lions fan, or buy their house for the leftover change I have in my pockets. But hey, conveniently enough, for last Friday we did get some new Suicideboys with their latest project, Sing Me a Lullaby, My Sweet Temptation, consisting of more bass boosted, yet softer sounding Memphis-inspired hip-hop for G59 fans to enjoy. Alright, so for the majority, this project is a lot smoother and toned down in comparison to their previous projects, seeming like something you could really lay back to in comparison to the speaker-destroying, head-bopping tracks and albums that we've gotten before. I guess one of the only sore thumbs from this album would be the track Fucking Your Culture, being something I totally hear them do in their previous albums, being much heavier on the angst and hype energy, with very in-your-face bars giving this rager vibe that was okay, but wasn't really a favorite for me from this project. But for everything else, it was pretty alright, with everything flowing together pretty nicely, although not having too much that stands out in my opinion. I do have to acknowledge the lyricism on this album though, with it getting a lot more personal on mental health, their career, drug abuse, and just overall self-loathing that helps bring more emotion onto these bass heavy and catchy beats that I did enjoy, such as on the tracks In Constant Sorrow and Ashes of Luxury. But if there's one thing that does stick out for sure on this album is the 3 6 Mafia and overall old school Memphis inspiration, with the choppy to quick fire bars and the deepening of the background vocals to help accompany the rest of the track, which I do appreciate, especially when more niche artists like Suicideboys is able to really show where they come from musically. But it doesn't discern from the singing that we get on this project as well, given this young boy-esque vibe on the track Escape from Babylon that I did enjoy too. But as for the production, as stated before, it was tapping into that old school Memphis hip-hop, using vocal samples and tons of bass and real sinister energy to bring out some of that peak Suicideboys feeling. I think my favorite beats would have to be on the track Resistance is Useless and Matte Black, especially on the former, tapping into these little chimes and bass to give out the smooth yet hard-hitting beat that I really did enjoy. There was also a Biggie vocal sample from the song Suicidal Thoughts on the track Eulogy, with the track being another more deeper piece about depression and coming to terms with one's death, making this one of the more heavier tracks, although it is being somewhat masked by a pretty solid and kind of distracting beat, I'm not gonna lie. But as stated before, there are some sore thumbs on this project, and I already explained Fucking Your Culture, but there was also the track No Matter Which Direction I'm Going In, I Never Chased a Hose, that also stuck out, being another hype and high energy track with bars basically about just getting hoes and whatnot, usual things that tend to be tossed around rappers to help with the braggadocious attitude that they carry in songs, you know? And as per usual, the track was just another one I wouldn't really say isn't one of my favorites, seeming like something that sticks out too far from the direction that the majority of this project had. But overall, this is a pretty nice album. It was hard hitting with the beats and with the lyrics, getting into real personal topics and using that 3 6 influence to make some pretty solid tracks for G59 fans. So to put this on a scale, I'm giving this a strong 7 out of 10, being a nice little piece that will stay in my rotation for a while. But oh, y'all thought I was finished? Well, of course not, idiot, because I also want to acknowledge a fellow upcoming artist that I got to know dropping their latest project, Escape from Sunset Drive, being this funk pop rap album to make for a nice little summer project, being accompanied with some creative music videos that I know Nick Tracanna and the crew worked hella hours on. This project definitely taps into that dance pop energy with tracks such as Biscayne and Sunset Drive, especially with the former being his high energy love track with some wonderful singing to accompany Nick's quick fire rapping with Rachel Phillip that I did enjoy a lot and made it one of my more favorite tracks from this album. But another track I would like to acknowledge would be We Don't Listen, giving this more serious and in-your-face vibe that I thought was pretty interesting, seeming like a bit of a sore thumb from the more lighthearted and easy appeal project, but not in a bad way, obviously. But just going through this album is definitely a fun experience that I feel like any one of you viewers should be able to check out, especially if you're into the more head-bopping, funky sound with solid, consistent rapping from Nick. That makes this into another hidden gem from a smaller artist that could be the thing to give him that more stronger core following. It taps into the more mainstream elements in pop music that anyone can get into, while still being able to separate itself just enough to be a signature for Nick Tracanna, with its well-worked production and everything just staying on theme for the most part, while going into finding love, going through heartbreak, and then finding that resolve through self-reflection that I really did enjoy. So if you guys really want to support a hardworking upcoming artist, check out Escape from Sunset Drive by the main man Nick Tracanna on all streaming platforms. I'm telling you that you won't regret it, because if you did, I'd leak your address or something. I don't know. Peace.
What's up, guys? It's Nick Tracanna. Make sure to check out my debut project, Escape from Sunset Drive, available on any streaming platform you prefer. Go ahead and subscribe down below to my friend Wallows for more music reviews in the future, and I appreciate you guys in advance for listening and checking me out. Thank you.
Check out Despicable Me 3, June 30th.